Today, I give you my word, my chef, I am not trying to convert you into any religion, into believing that God exists, into believing that God is real. I just want to share with you my experience of going from, not being an atheist, but not really having God invited at home, to making it the priority and the center of my life, while making sure that I wouldn't really go crazy with it. However, still sitting down multiple times a day, praying multiple times a day, and making sure that everything that I get out of my life that could technically take me out of state, that could bring, the extra level of pride that isn't necessary, how that relationship with God was able to cultivate that peace, to cultivate that humility, to only get the good out of it. So we're gonna start with how God came into my life. And he actually came really not too long ago. It was like 5-6 months ago, after the most terrible breakup that I had to go through. But I also want to go back to when I was a baby until 10 years old. Atheist kind of family. Still, my parents were sending me to church because they didn't have time to take care of me. So, two parents that didn't believe in God, but thanks God, because there was a church in town and there were very busy workers, they'll just send their kids to church. So I didn't believe in God, but I was still spending 2 or 3 days a week in a church with people around me that were all there because they were believing in God. So in one way or another, I feel like this is kind of where the journey started. Then from 10 to 20 years old, I kind of forgot. I always knew deep down that like something else was existing, but I never really paid any attention to it. And it didn't really guide any of my decisions, which unfortunately made a lot of bad decisions between 10 and 20 that could have been saved if my relationship with God would have been closer and more real. Then between 10 and 25, I feel like this is the moment where God started to talk to me, but the voice wasn't loud enough, so it was only pride. The way that I was saying God was only through me, in the way that I was like, I can do absolutely anything I want. And the reason why I'm saying that is because like God has to be there speaking to me in order for me to be able to receive that message. There are so very few people that are able to get into that state, starting from such a bottom, from like nothing, and still having the belief that you can achieve absolutely everything with like absolute clarity, absolute certainty, absolute faith, absolute belief. You need to have something external. And I didn't know, but that external thing was God's voice deep down that was talking to me. But again, it was not loud enough. I was too prideful. I was too selfish. I was too stuck in very low range of emotions that I couldn't hear him directly talking to me. That lasted about 5 years. And then 5 years ago, which was 25 years old, I started to build this private chef agency, this private chef consulting company. And for the first time of my life, I feel like I know all. For the first time of my life, or at least in many years, right? It's like I was running my private chef business for so long at a time, I was doing so well that I even forgot about what did it feel like to not know something. And then I was getting right into something where I knew nothing about it. I felt completely lost. I felt completely powerless. I felt like absolutely nothing could actually help me. And by a sign of God, or by the grace of God, not by coincidence, I met a person that recommended me a book. And that book is called Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. I don't know what Joe Dispenza believes about religion and God are. However, I do respect a lot the man for what he built in the medical field, and even more in what he built in the spiritual field. Okay, I'll let you do the research about who this guy is. And in the grand scheme of things, in a nutshell, Joe Dispenza is a neuroscientist. So graduated from med school, spent his entire life in the medical field, and then start studying how the body and the brain and body and mind work all together. Wanted to go deeper into that and kind of added woo-woo and spiritual knowledge and practices into his own experience. Got kicked out of the medical field and, helped tens of thousands of people to heal naturally from meditation. I got past this book, and this was my integration. This was my initiation to meditation. What I didn't know is that this initiation to meditation was also my initiation to meeting God again. However, it didn't take until 30 years old, which was a few months back, to really need to put a name on that thing for the first time. For the last 5 years, yes, I was meditating every day. Yes, I was more connected to nature. Yes, I was more connected to the universe, but still, I couldn't put a word on it. Still, it was very difficult for me to pray. Still, it was very difficult for me to talk to someone when I needed help. Still, it was very difficult to give all the glory back to something or to someone. When I was doing well, there was still this very egoistical, there was still this very prideful side of me. There's like, this is mine. I did it. There was still this very like, and that pride kind of transformed into almost anger or like neutrality. Stop. I am not saying we should never be neutral. I am saying emotions are there for a reason and they're there to be felt. And so when we are excited for winning, for succeeding at a specific achievement, we shouldn't suppress that emotion. We shouldn't suppress that happiness. We shouldn't suppress that joy. However, we should know where it is being directed, because where the energy goes, energy flows. And if when we actually achieve something successfully, positively, the energy that it directs is pride, then that's what flows out of it. And what flows out of pride doesn't really expand very far in a grand scheme of things. Because again, not gonna go deep into that, but pride on a scale of what's the lowest emotion that you can actually feel and the highest emotion that you can actually feel: love, freedom, joy, enlightenment. Okay, the bottom will be like death. All right, guilt and shame, pretty close from that, but like death will be the ultimate one. Pride is kind of right in the middle. Pride isn't like a positive energy. When you're down below and like guilt and shame, obviously being able to feel pride is good. But like when you're not there anymore, like on a daily basis, which I wasn't, thanks God, feeling prideful isn't really helping me to get anywhere. So going back to this, right, between like those like 25 to 30 years old, is like, yes, I was connected to God. Yes, I was meditating every day. Yes, I was being more grateful and more, but still the glory wasn't going back to Him. Every time that something would happen good, I would stop celebrating it. I would suppress the emotion of joy because I thought that men were not supposed to be happy. I was thinking that men just had to work. And that when the work was done, when the reward was there, it's just like, let's get to something else because that's what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to enjoy. Yes, we are. Yes, we are definitely supposed to enjoy, but we have to remember to whom we enjoy it for. Why we get it in the first place. Why we were actually allowed to be blessed. And so it took me until 6 months ago, going through the most terrible breakup of my life, having my mom in the middle of that being diagnosed with a middle/late stage of cancer, to understand that God was real. I'll be going to church every day at this time for at least like 10 days to 2 weeks, asking for signs, asking God for help and what to do in my relationship. And that's how I discovered that my mom was sick. And that was the point of no return for me in terms of like ending this relationship. I was looking for signs of God of like showing me if I was supposed to keep going the relationship or if I should end it. Obviously at this time of my life, I was thousands of miles away from my mom. I've been traveling for a very long time, so wasn't really seeing her a lot. And when she told me that, I took that as a sign, living the girl that I've been with for years that I wanted to marry at that point. We were supposed to get married, like we were organizing the wedding at that point. Made a decision to end up the relationship. That was a very toxic relationship. Everything that you can imagine of a toxic relationship, we were actually doing it. In a very painful process, still to this day, I carry a lot of sadness, I carry a lot of tears, I carry a lot of trauma, I carry a lot of pain, and I've realized that there's nothing else that sitting down and meditating and praying and crying and opening up and being vulnerable that has helped me the most. As I knew that, and I've been saying that for the last 5 years. For the last 5 years I was saying, if there is something in your life that is holding you back, if there is something that's preventing you, no matter what, if you can sit down every single day for an hour, then you'll be able to solve it. And here I am today. The hardest thing that I've been through in my life so far is actually this breakup. I've been through more, but not worse. And thanks God, I've found myself again in this process. I find God again in this process. And that's kind of my testimony. So disclaimer again, I'm not here trying to convince you or try to convert you. I'm just a man here to share his testimony like millions of other people that God has helped in his way. God wants everyone to be happy, to be joyful, to be healed, to be performing for his glory, to his glory. And I wish everyone to find him. He's there for you as he's been there for me. And I'm sure that he will be there and listen to you and help you heal. So all glory to God. Blessings to all of you watching this right now. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you soon on the line, my chef.